My wife's sister is helping to destroy her health and I don't know what to do. I'm married to Nancy. My wife has several medical issues which are quite severe and prevent her from working. For the last 15 years I've been her carer. During this time I'm also self-employed, running my own business and basically a single parent to our 14-year-old son. On top of this, 100% of household chores are my responsibility. My son helps out, but I'm determined he should have as good a childhood as I can provide and do not want him to be a carer for his mother. My wife's mental health has started to decline. She gets muddled easily and doesn't relay messages between people correctly, if at all. We have to check she's taken the correct medication. My wife has a sister, Zara. She is into alternative medicine, essential oils, crystal healing, etc. She also believes most of the major conspiracy theories going around, and she also seems to believe it's her duty to educate everybody about them. Several times we've had disagreements over Nancy's care, as she believes the drugs we get from the doctors are making her worse. A while back Zara convinced my wife smoking something would help with her medical issues. It has become a regular thing that Zara would collect my wife and a few hours later return her. During these times she is clearly getting my wife to purchase it for both of them. This will repeat a day or so later when her stash is low. I told my wife not to smoke as we could see it was making her condition worse. It got so bad my wife developed a condition where she faints when she coughs. Smoking causes her to cough, and smoking this makes it a lot worse. One time she broke an arm and a second time badly cut her head when she fainted while smoking. As Nancy does not work and neither does Zara, it basically my money that's funding this habit. I staged an intervention a while back with Nancy and Zara and neither seemed to see a problem. Nancy did stop smoking for a few months and she stopped fainting. However, it seems she's started again. This time they think they are clever and are not admitting what's going on. It's quite obvious to me, as Nancy is very off when she comes home and she's started fainting again. I'm basically at my breaking point. My son has even noticed and is really depressed. As mentioned, my wife's mental health is not great and I feel Zara is taking advantage of the situation. I've considered withholding money but fear that could be used against me as financial abuse. I've also considered banning Nancy from seeing Zara, but this also could be painted as abusive behavior from me. I've left a lot of details out to keep the story short, but has anybody else been in a situation like this? I'm considering separating, however I know she'll have nobody to care for her if I do. Comment. Have one more extremely blunt conversation with Nancy, not with Zara. Not stupid, and I know you're smoking again with Zara. You're choosing to destroy your health, and you're choosing to damage your relationship with me and the mental health of our son. I don't know why smoking is more important to you than any of those things, but I'm not going to let you hold our family hostage to it. If you continue to choose smoking over us, I'm going to move out with son and leave you to it. Let her ask Zara for help if she needs it. Maybe it'll open her eyes to how foolish she's being. Exactly, that's the only leverage he has there. Other people are saying get the cops involved and things like that, but there's no crime here. His wife is willingly engaging in these things. Zara is awful, of course, but there's no law against being a bad person and a bad influence. He has to tell her how serious this issue is, and how serious he will be about taking steps to protect himself and his son. Edit/side note, why do so many of these problems seem to involve so many people who don't work? How are all these people surviving? The only adults I know, like someone else said, they just can't keep a job. My uncle was, probably, a narcissist and would do great in interviews. Then a few days, maybe even a few weeks into it, something would happen that caused him to walk out or be fired. It was also never his fault, it was everyone else. Either they didn't treat him right, by expecting him to work, or incompatible management styles, he kept telling employees how to do their jobs while not doing his own, or just a simple they don't appreciate me, the translation being I wasn't given praise for doing the bare minimum of my job. Who don't work are the ones who are full-time stay-at-home parents to multiple young kids, which is work itself. I know Op's wife is disabled, but doesn't sound like Zara is, and most of these relationship problems seem to involve people not working. Gonna have to sound like a jerk here, but no judge with half a brain would give Nancy custody of your son. She is incapable of caring even for herself. So I would strongly suggest an ultimatum: stop the smoking, stop torpedoing your health at my expense, or the kid and I walk and Zara can take care of you. I will not ask for child support, but I will ask for full custody until such time as you can stop destroying yourself and our marriage will be over. Maybe do that with a marriage counselor in tow. This is not fair to you, but it goes far beyond that. You have the boy to think of too. Your wife is being abused by her sister. Financially and medically. You're being abused financially. You should speak to her DRS. They need to know medically and should have some insights on how to protect you both with what local services are available. I'd also speak to a lawyer to protect yourself from any false accusations from angry sister when her supply runs out. Speak to these people first before you cut the finances to create a paper trail to protect yourself. You're her carer. Do you have a power of attorney etc. and her medical proxy? You may need to look into being her legal guardian as an adult with disabilities, maybe a conservatorship to protect her sister from these unsupervised visits and having someone with her as a carer being responsible for her finances when out of the house without you, so her sister cannot take advantage of her. Next story 2. Is it okay for me to give my husband a final warning that I will leave if nothing changes? My husband and I have been together for 13 years in total, married for 2. For all of our relationship, my husband has held a job, but early 2018 he quit his job to go to an intensive coding boot camp. It should have taken only about 6 months to go through all of it, but because he dragged his feet about taking care of things every step of the process, he was unemployed for a full year before landing another job. He worked that job for about 10 months, and then quit without telling me January 2020. He has been unemployed since then. He decided to go back to college to try and finish his bachelor's instead, but this turned into argument after argument where I felt like he wasn't taking it seriously. I saw him put maybe 5 hours of work a week if that into school and also not taking care of anything around the house. He eventually quit school in October 2021, and has been a complete NEET for coming up on 2 years now. Meanwhile I have been working full-time supporting both of us for the majority of the past 5 years. I got married to him because we've been together forever, and for the majority of our relationship, especially at the beginning, I would have called him the more responsible one of the two of us. I just feel like if he could get past whatever mental block he has, I would get the man back that I had before 2018. But obviously it's not happening. I can't count how many serious conversations he and I have had where he'll start doing more around the house for like a week before going back to doing nothing. He insists he's not depressed. We had a huge blow-up fight 3 weeks ago where I told him that I can't do this forever. He told me 3 times at the end of that fight he would find a job. Well, 3 weeks later and he has done absolutely 0 things to work on finding a job. I don't think he's spent 1 second on it. The first week after the argument he did spend way more time doing things around the house, but on this 3rd week I think he's spent a grand total of like 30 minutes of doing things around the house. As I'm writing this post, he's been sleeping in bed the whole day while I WFH. It's like if I'm not mad at him, taking care of things doesn't even enter his mind. I'm constantly stressed every single day thinking about this. I'm at the end of my patience, which I feel like I have been excessively more patient than anyone else would be in this situation. Yet he makes it out like I'm unreasonable to be mad at him or have a problem with this. I feel like waking him up and telling him this is the final warning about finding a job. If he hasn't started seriously applying to places in the next few weeks, then I'm done. But when we're in the heat of arguments, he always finds a way to make me feel like I'm the unreasonable person and I'm being too mean to him. I don't know what to do. Does anyone have any advice on how to have this conversation? Comment. Don't. He's already proven he's not going to do anything and has disrespected your wishes every step of the way. You are parenting a teenager, not sharing a life with a loving partner. You deserve better. When you get to the point of wishing bad things happen so you can be free, or you stay only because you're concerned he might harm himself, then you need to do it. That's not healthy and you know it. Talk to a therapist about the best way to approach it, especially if he threatens you or himself. If you're afraid for your safety, make sure to take steps to protect yourself. This sucks. It's not going to be easy, but do you really want to look back at this in 5 years and you find yourself in the exact same place? How miserable would you be over that wasted time? Make plans for your exit. Hand him divorce papers and tell his family you left. Don't let him manipulate you into staying by him, saying he will kill himself. You call the police for a wellness check if he says it. Most cases it is just to guilt the other person from leaving. Either way, he isn't your responsibility. Go live your life. It's going to be hard to leave someone you've been with for so long. It will be harder to continue living like that for the rest of your life. Inform his family about it / share your worries about him killing himself so they can offer support / you don't have to worry as people know about it. A therapist for you might be good just to talk things out. Maybe have a conversation about him going to therapy. If you are set on leaving him, by all means leave while you're young and didn't suffer more. But maybe he is not doing anything due to depression and he need mental help? Nonetheless, it's not on you and he is a grown adult. He is doing something really bad. He's letting you carry the full financial burden of the relationship. He doesn't work yet, does not help out with household chores. What's he doing all day? My guess is gaming. There is no excuse for any of this. He will allow you to be used by him until you get a bellyful and call it quits. You allude that he may try to kill himself, all manipulation in order to get you to continue the status quo. During the 13 years of your life that has been wasted, you could have probably purchased a house by now for future financial security. You could have been on many nice trips if you had a financially contributing partner. You could have a portfolio of stocks that would make it easier for you to retire. You could be in considerably less debt. You're afraid of having a conversation with him. Frankly, I think it's gone way past a conversation. You've probably had hundreds of these conversations over the decade and nothing ever changes. You are still young and could build a nice life for yourself. Necessity is the mother of invention. If you divorce and quit subsidizing him, watch how fast he finds employment. I think you should stop having this fight with him and start getting your things in order. If you haven't already, you should start seeing a therapist to help you build up the strength to do what you need to do. Enlist their help in breaking the news to him when you're ready to bounce. Consult with a divorce attorney and begin to take the steps to leave. Don't tell him, just do it. Once all your ducks are in a row, bring him to the therapist, break the news, and get the hell out of there. Maybe have some friends or family on standby to help you or him to move out. He has shown that not only is he unwilling to change his behavior, his go-to response to any kind of accountability is to turn the situation around to make you look like the You don't deserve that kind of BS. If he threatens self-harm, take him seriously and call 911 to report his threats. He'll get 72 hours in a mental health facility that will ensure his safety from self-harm. You'll get 72 hours to either move yourself out, or move his shit out and change the locks. Finally, if he does ever harm himself and blame you before he exits, please remember that you are not responsible for his choices. A marriage is a partnership. He is not being your partner and he hasn't for years. That is his choice too. You've already learned that you can't make him choose to be in this with you. It's time to let go and move on. You need to walk out and start working on codependency and boundaries ASAP. It sounds like you haven't just been responsible for finances, household, and emotional labor. It sounds like he's made you responsible for keeping him alive and stable. Not okay. You are not responsible for how he feels. Unless you're an evil genius, you aren't making him feel anything. He feels some type of way and it's up to him to deal with those feelings. It's up to him to stay alive. You can't keep him from self-harm either, no matter how hard you try. Please take it from me. I've been there. He didn't need to quit his job to then go into a bachelor degree. Plenty of people do it part-time while they work full-time. I mean, it's a lot of excuses and now he's been unemployed for a long time and nothing to show in terms of credentials. You are okay with final warning or just no warning and going for divorce. You are waiting for him to be the person he was, or you thought he was, 13 years ago, but he has not been that person for at least 5 years.